Hey guys, welcome back to Through the Screen. I'm Emily.
I'm Charlotte.
I'm Brittany.
We hope you've been enjoying our episodes so far and liking, commenting, and sharing with your friends. If you missed any of them, head on over to our channel and watch. And if you're not already, be sure to subscribe while you're there. This week we are doing a special Halloween-themed episode, so we hope you'll follow us once again as we join together via Skype to bring you conversations through the screen.
This episode, we will be discussing the spooky history of Salem, Massachusetts. We will also be bringing you updates from Taiji Cove, offering a few tips on how to keep your pets safe on Halloween, reviewing a spooky Halloween cocktail, and finally, giving a quick recap of this week's Dancing with the Stars, as well as discussing some of our favorite Halloween movies and TV shows. But first, let's hop on our broomsticks and fly over to Salem.
So, since this weekend is Halloween, instead of a serious topic, we wanted to go with the theme of this week and just bring you all a little history and discussion behind one of the most well-known cities in America, especially around Halloween, Salem, Massachusetts. Pretty much everyone has heard of Salem, whether it's the Salem witch trials, the House of the Seven Gables, the town from the famous Halloween classic Hocus Pocus, or basically any other Halloween reference. Today, Salem is an extremely popular tourist destination with a festive celebration of the town and of fall in general, bringing in more than 250,000 people every year. So I just wanted to start off with a little history of one of Salem's most well-known events, the Salem witch trials. So in January of 1692, Reverend Samuel Parris's daughter, 9-year-old Elizabeth Parris, and his niece, 11-year-old Abigail Williams, of Salem Village became ill, exhibiting strange behavior. Other girls and women in the village started acting the same way, and after they failed to get better, the village doctor was called in and diagnosed Elizabeth and Abigail with bewitchment. And pressured by the ministers and townspeople who wanted to know what caused their strange behavior, the girls claimed to be possessed by the devil and accused Tituba, a local servant, of witchcraft. Other afflicted women identified the same woman as the cause of their possessions, and Tituba was an easy person to blame because she was dark-skinned, similar to the tribespeople that the Puritans feared. And Tituba and 2 other women identified by her were arrested and brought to trial, and basically out of fear for her own life, because for some reason people who were accused of witches that confessed and named other people were not convicted, which is strange to me. But out of fear of her own life, Tituba started naming other people, and those names were backed by both Elizabeth and Abigail, as well as other people who started, acting possessed and claiming to have seen their specter, which basically is like a transparent version of the person at night. And back then that was considered evidence. But basically it started this massive witch hunt and increased fear among the villagers. And this was a time when there was a lot of fear in the colonies, and there was fear of things outside, of savages, the wilderness, and especially the devil. And combined with the recent smallpox epidemic and lingering conflicts, basically everyone was on edge and subject to fear and suspicion. And between June and October of 1692, the trials from the court of Oyer and Terminer resulted in the executions of 14 women and 5 men at Gallows Hill. Additionally, more than 150 men and women from Salem and the surrounding towns were imprisoned. And these prisons were made of wood, and so they were freezing in the winter and boiling hot in the summer. There was terrible hygiene, and they were forced to stay there for months at a time and pay their own room and board. And in October of 1692, Governor William Phipps disbanded the court holding the trials, and a new court was put into place. So this basically ended all of the executions. The new court tried the remaining witches, but execution verdicts were denied, and eventually the remaining people tried as witches were released. And as years passed, apologies and compensations were made to the victims' families, and the general court declared that the trials were unlawful.
So, it's funny how, because this, like, honestly, it kind of reminds me of how people do with animal activism things nowadays, because it's like, when they fear something, like, it's bad, like, or they don't know about something, like, it's bad. Like, even if there really were witches, like, how do you know they're bad? Like, you can't just, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It just makes no sense.
Everything that was the other was just taboo to them. Like, they didn't know how to handle it. They associated it with, like, evil and the devil and, like, the tribes people that they feared, and I don't know, they didn't know how to handle it. But it basically ended in the wrongful deaths of more than 20 people, including those 19 that were hanged, and a man that was crushed to death, basically for refusing to go to trial after being accused of witchcraft, and several others that died in prison. So it was just a really horrible thing.
Pressed to death.
Yeah, he was pressed to death by stones. It's awful, but
awful way to die.
Yeah.
John Hawthorne was one of the judges in the Salem witch trials, and he was the only judge to not show any remorse or repent anything for the fact that they were trying these innocent people and putting them to death. And he is a descendant of Nathaniel Hawthorne, and because Nathaniel was so, disgusted by the fact that here he was related to this man who was so despicable, he actually added a W to his name, to his last name, to make it Hawthorne instead of without, in order to kind of distance himself from him. He did not want to be associated with this guy. But Nathaniel Hawthorne is extremely famous in Salem. He was born on July 4th in 1804 in Salem and died May 19th in 1864 in Salem. He had 3 kids and was married. His most awesome piece of work that I really love is The Scarlet Letter. I love The Scarlet Letter. I read it in school, and it's just one of my favorite things that he wrote. He's known for dark romanticism, and all of his writings always had a moral message. He was born in the house of Seven Gables, which is still a tourist attraction in Salem. It's very beautiful, and people line up from all over to come and walk through this amazing, amazing house.
So for me, I live 45 minutes from Salem, Massachusetts. I've always lived in Boston, so I've always been in the area. It's never been it was never a mystery to me. It's something I learned about in school. I'm sure you guys learned about it too in school, as it's part of our American history. But for us, we learned about it in different ways because we actually got to go there on field trips and go to the museums and go to the village and, have whole days in Salem as a kid. And it's funny because now as an adult, working around, people all the time and tourists, one of the things I always say is it's Salem in October, because we as Massachusetts residents have to tell tourists who are going to and have visited or are about to visit Salem in the 31 days of that month, because there is truly no way to describe the madness that is Salem on Halloween. It literally every type of person from any type of walk of life you can see on the streets, the sidewalks. I was there probably maybe 2 weeks ago, and they had a whole zombie parade walking down the street. I mean, it's insanity all day, all the time. But it's a good kind of insanity because it's not like crazy people, attacking people. It's people just celebrating being who they are and just having fun, dressing up, being silly, and there's so much to do in the city itself. The town itself, where wasn't the actual original spot for the trials. Salem Village, which is now Danvers, was actually the original spot of the trials. But downtown Salem offers every single kind of walking tour imaginable to get close-up glance into the world of the 1600s, as well as world-renowned museums such as the Salem Witch Museum, the Salem Wax Museum, and it's about a half hour away from Salem Willows, which is a beautiful park and all kinds of attractions. It's all like a huge amusement area, and there's all kinds of things going on all the time. So, and it's gorgeous with all, obviously willows because it's named Salem Willows. So it's just a beautiful place to be in the fall itself. So I really encourage people, if they ever get the chance to get into Massachusetts, that you come at that time in the fall in October and enjoy Salem the way it truly should be enjoyed, because you will be shocked by what you see. And the shops, they offer everything from tarot cards to brooms to jewelry to knickknacks. I even found two little stores in like what I like to call my own little secret Diagon alley, where they had two little Harry Potter stores, and it was like I walked into the store and it was full of wands, and it was like I just died and went to Harry Potter heaven. It was legit out of the movie. And after I said that, the lady who worked there was like, she came over to me and she was like, "Isn't it awesome? We've had people walk through the door and cry because they never thought they would be able to ever see it in person. They never thought they would get the opportunity to witness it up close and personal." And that made me smile to think that, like, something as little as that might make something, somebody's whole trip. So it's kind of very, interesting. So yeah, I always encourage people, go to Salem in October. You won't regret it. This week, for our update section, we wanted, of course, to discuss Taji, but also include the final numbers from last week's fair hunt. So for Taji this week, the 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, and 28th were all Blue Cove days. But unfortunately, the 27th saw a pod of Russo dolphins slaughtered. Perhaps more shocking and heartbreaking is on the 29th, about 100 dolphins were being pushed towards the cove. Luckily, many of the 100 broke free, but we did see the slaughter of 19 striped dolphins in the cove. Once again, we remind you that Sea Shepherd and the Cove Guardians continuously provide live streams as well as merchandise and information on their websites to help support the cause, which we will link down below.
So as for the bear hunt, which we discussed last week, it began on October 23rd, and it was approved to last an entire week, but was ended by the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission after just 2 days. And it was estimated that the hunters wiped out over 10% of the Florida black bear population in just those 2 days. And in that time, a little less than 300 black bears were killed. However, we can't really go by that number, and it's not completely accurate, because many hunters illegally baited bears onto their property or took underweight bears without reporting them to check stations. Also, lactating mothers were killed, which technically counts as 3 to 4 kills since her cubs won't survive without her. Hunters were boasting about their kills and turning them into bearskin rugs and mounting their heads on their walls, and giving snarky comments to volunteers that were at checkpoints taking photos and keeping track of kills. So, it's not for conservation. You can tell by the way that these hunters were responding to, the volunteers, that they showed no remorse whatsoever. The photos from the hunt are absolutely disgusting, but very telling. And I think it's something that more people should see, because I saw a report on Fox News where they were just making light of the whole thing, and I couldn't believe that people actually thought that this was okay, because I thought it was going to be as big as Cecil, but clearly I was wrong, and I just can't believe that more people don't care about this. But multiple areas went over their quota. The East Panhandle wanted only 40 dead, but 112 were killed. The Central BMU set a quota for 100, but 139 were taken. Apparently, the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission was okay with more than 20% of the population being wiped out. They said that they could still, come back after that. However, many people are so outraged over this, and they are going to continue to fight and interrogate the FWC about whether or not they will take action on the hunters that broke the rules. And then this week, a similar black bear hunt took place in Maryland. So again, we remind you to keep an eye out for these petitions about things like this, and sign any that come your way, and we will continue to keep you guys updated.
This week, instead of our usual heartwarming story, we thought that we would share 4 tips on how to keep your pets safe on Halloween. Tip number 1 is to provide safe treats for your pets. Dogs especially will be intrigued by all of the new candy and all of the, bright colors of everything around, and we all know that they eat whatever that is in front of them. But the chocolate and caramel can be fatal to dogs, so make sure that you are putting them out of their reach, because on top of them, on top of the chocolate and caramel harming them, they also obviously aren't opening the packaging, so they're eating like the plastic and whatever else is in the packaging, so that could also be fatal to them. So you want to make sure that you keep those up and make sure that you're giving them things that are dog appropriate. Number 2 is to make sure you keep all of your animals indoors, because especially cats, but dogs as well, they're more prone to being teased, to being taken, to being tortured, and possibly even killed on Halloween night, because a lot of people get into satanic rituals and get superstitious, and, especially black cats, I think, are the number 1 target. But just to be safe, keep all of them indoors on Halloween night. Number 3 is to keep them away from any noises that bother them. If they're afraid of the doorbell that's ringing all the time because you're having trick-or-treaters, or if they're freaking out because people are coming to the door, just make sure that you have a safe place for them to go away from all of that. And number 4, if you are a person who is dressing up your dog for Halloween or your cat, just make sure that you're not being ridiculous. If it's obviously bothering them, don't, fret over the money that you paid on the costume and just take it off. If you are taking them outside and taking them trick-or-treating with you in a costume, make sure that there's some kind of light reflector or something to where they can be seen by not only people walking by, but cars in case they get loose or whatever else. But we just want to make sure that your Halloween night doesn't turn into a really sad tragedy. So make sure that you keep an eye on your pets and keep them in mind when you're having fun.
So for our product of the week, we wanted to try out a spooky Halloween cocktail. So we found a recipe for a Grim Reaper cocktail, which we're going to call the Angel of Death cocktail because we love Charmed. And it's just an ounce of Kahlua rum, an ounce of Bacardi 151 or other light rum, and a splash of grenadine. And you end up with this bloody looking cocktail, and it tastes pretty good too. So what did we think of this drink?
I thought it was alright. I am more it's not the first drink that I would go for. I probably wouldn't order it unless it was ordered for me, but I enjoyed it. It's something that it wasn't super strong, but you could definitely taste what you were drinking, but I liked it.
Yeah, it tasted fine, but again, it's not something I would be like, that's my first choice. It's definitely not at all. No.
Yeah, I felt the same way. It wasn't bad. It looks pretty cool. It wasn't bad, but it's not something that I would probably order if I went to a bar or anything, so.
Yeah, but I think if I had a Halloween party, maybe it would be on my list of cocktails, though, definitely. Because it does look Halloweenish,
Yeah.
It looks like you're drinking blood, I guess. I don't know.
Which, I don't know how that fits with the Angel of Death. Maybe you feel like death after you drink a couple of them. I don't know.
Maybe.
That could be what it is.
The next day.
The next day you feel like death.
Yeah.
If you guys want to try this, if you're of drinking age, go ahead and try it. We'll link the recipe down below and let us know what you think or any other things that you would like us to try.
This week for our entertainment topic, we decided to give everyone a real treat. After all, it's Halloween. So this week, along with Dancing with the Stars, we will also be discussing Charmed, All Hallows Eve, Pretty Little Liars, Brave New World, and a special discussion of one of our childhood favorites, Hocus Pocus. But first, a very special Halloween episode of Dancing with the Stars. So this week, probably one of my favorites was Alexa and Mark's Paso Doble. With the Edward Scissorhands theme, it just, not only with those hands, like it's so hard to, like, you know, be in hold and pass those, like a hold type of dance, as well as being, you know, strong and, you know, all about posture, and it's just not a dance that you would expect Edward Scissorhands to be in, and it was just very interesting, and the choreography was done really well. The whole entire dance, Alexa was pretty much flawless to me, and I didn't really see her mix up that many mistakes. I didn't see really any at all. I was actually overall very well happy with the dance. Another one I liked was Bindi and Derek's Queen of the Damned dance. The Argentine tango, again, is very similar to Paso Doble, where it's hard, but again, it has that softer side to it, whereas Paso's all hard. So it kind of like flowed seamlessly, and it was just very interesting, and I enjoyed it so much. Tamar and Val's Circus Freak Foxtrot. It was good to me. I didn't agree with everything the judges said, but again, I felt like they push her more because they expect more out of her, because they know that she is capable of it. So they kind of want to see her bring that, like, you know, oomph out, and I didn't really feel that with this dance. There was no part of the dance that made me stop and go, wow, that was, you know, that, like, captured my eye. But I did enjoy it. I'm not going to, you know, knock her for, you know, having that moment, but still, it was a very good dance, well choreographed by Val. This week, though, we had the team freestyle dances, which I always enjoy. When they put team dances together, it's always fun and interesting to see, you know, them battle it out kind of like on the dance floor. So, and they had two themes. One was Nightmare Before Christmas, and the other was Ghostbusters. And it was just kind of, you know, it's always fun to see choreographed dancing for me, because I always enjoy that. So it's like choreographed with a group rather than just two people on the dance floor. And everybody in their own individual parts did really well. Obviously, Team Nightmare won. They were a little bit better than the Ghostbusters, we'll put it that way. But yeah, they got a perfect score, so I agreed with that. So what did you guys think?
I also loved Team Nightmare. I was so excited with the choices, because I love Ghostbusters and I love The Nightmare Before Christmas. So, like, I was really excited, and when they did that song, I was just blown away. I thought it was so good, because I really thought that Team Who You Gonna Call, is that what theirs is called, right?
Yeah.
Like, I really thought they were gonna win just by the group that it was. And the fact that they all said that, you know, he was undefeated and blah, blah, blah. But I was so happy, and I was so happy they got a perfect score, because I think they deserved it. I liked Nick's this week. I thought his was pretty good. I love their makeup. I liked Tamar's too. I think that the judges really ride her hard, and it's really frustrating to her, but I think it's actually going to pay off, because I think she's going to work harder. I loved Alexa's. I did not love her bang thing going on, but I loved the dance. I thought they did really well. And I love Carlos's too. I love the Phantom of the Opera. It's like one of my favorite things ever. So I was really excited before they even started, but I thought he did a really, really good job.
I want to say that with, like, Carlos and Whitney's dance, one of my critiques would be actually not to the dance itself, but to the crew of Dancing with the Stars. you guys need to chill with the smoke.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
They kept
really.
saying that like a million times.
When you can't see their feet, it kind of defeats the purpose of the dance. So,
Yeah.
can you chill with the smoke, please?
Yeah, but it still looked cool, but
Yeah, it was a
That's
little
on the
too
dance
much.
when they can't even like breathe.
Yeah, it's like a 1930s movie in here, or whatever they said, a radio show, or I don't know.
Yeah,
Like you couldn't even see them at one point.
Yeah, I don't know. I am actually team Who You Gonna Call. I was not impressed with Team Nightmare. I don't know. I mean, obviously they were correct. They were not in sync in the beginning. I did agree with that. But I always loved Derek's choreography, and I think their stuff towards the end when they were all in that circle and they were doing, I don't know, I
that
loved
was really cool.
I thought theirs was better personally, but I mean the other team was good
I
too.
think
But
if they had been in sync in the beginning, they probably would have gotten a perfect score too.
yeah, it was pretty noticeable that they weren't in sync. My favorite I think was Tamar, and I was actually upset with what the judges said to her. But I mean, I get what you guys are saying, that they're probably just putting a lot of pressure on her. But I loved her dance. I think Alexa also did well. Carlos. I actually think Alec did pretty well. I think he's improving because I wasn't super impressed with him last week, but I think he did a lot better this week. As far as who goes home, I think again it's just like no idea.
It's too hard now.
I mean, they keep putting Alexa in the bottom, but
oh my god,
she shouldn't be.
Not go home. I will just cry.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'll not be here if Alexa goes home because I'll be crying in my bed.
Honestly, if I had to guess, I mean, really, it's anybody's game. But I think probably Alec, just because again he doesn't have that fan base. He is improving, but his video package this week was kind of a little sketchy.
But it kind of like made him like, because I agree, because at first I was like, oh my gosh, dude, they're filming you. Like, that's what I just kept thinking. Like, they're filming you right now. You know that they're filming you. Stop talking. But he didn't. But I think he kind of like, at the end, like, he kind of like, it was like a full circle kind of thing, because that guy came in and kind of like was like, hey, look, dude, you're not perfect. Like, stop, get off your high horse. And then he agreed with him. So he kind of came around, but that was not a good call, bud. Not a good call.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. And Artem was the dancer who came in and kind of, like, I think sometimes with those types of dancers, they have trouble kind of grasping the male aspect of it because they're getting taught by a female, so they can't really, grasp the whole concept of the male.
Right.
So sometimes they need to have another male come in and kind of show them this is how it's supposed to be, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because they're supposed to be the leader, too, so.
Yeah. Well, I think another thing is, like, for me, like, if I were to go on there, like, if I just, like, did all of my steps without missing one, like, I'd be like, yes, perfect score, you know what I mean? So, like, he's not a dancer, so, like, he doesn't understand, like, all these technical things that, I'm just learning about, like, watching it, like, talking to Charlotte because she's a dancer, so I think that's another part of it. Like, his mouth is too big when he doesn't really know what he said, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't know all the technical stuff he's supposed to be doing. He's supposed to be leading. He's supposed to have good posture and good facial expressions, and he's not there, but he did well this week, but I don't know. If I had to guess, I would say him, and if it was him, he would probably be the only one that I wasn't like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really necessarily think that either, because, I mean, if it was him, I mean, I don't think I'd be too mad if it was Carlos either, to be honest with you. I just have never been, like, that big of a diehard fan of his dancing from the beginning. I think he's a good dancer, he's just not my type of dancer, so maybe, I wouldn't be as sad if he went home either, but pretty much anybody else I would probably be upset about. So, just check out next week's episode, find out who went home, and find out what crazy antics went on next week, and see who our favorites are. So, tune in. So, for our other topics this week in the entertainment section, we chose Pretty Little Liars, A Grave New World, Charmed, All Halliwell's Eve, and, of course, Hocus Pocus, which is a 90s classic for any girl who grew up in the 90s. Around Halloween, you usually watch this, and a few other movies, but we couldn't include everything, so we chose our favorites. And of course, Hocus Pocus and Charmed are both about three sister witches, but kind of like on two different ends of the spectrum because obviously Hocus Pocus they are evil and in Charmed they are good, so it's kind of like you see both ends of the spectrum in both movies. And it's also kind of funny how you think back to like in 1993 when Hocus Pocus came out and you watched that for the first time and it was Halloween, and then later on in 1998 when Charmed comes out and you become a fan of that. And it's funny how we gravitate towards things like that even when we're kids that we know we're still gonna love later on in life, like supernatural things, for example, or like animals. Everybody loves, and anybody who's an animal lover usually starts at a very young age. So it's always like interesting to see how it transgresses. Is that the word?
Progresses? I don't know.
Yeah, like, progresses is better, yeah. So it's kind of like the same. And Pretty Little Liars is more of like a mystery type where it's like it's not like technically supernatural. You don't really know what the heck is going on. So it's kind of like you're trying to figure out along with them what's going on. So it's kind of fun.
Yeah, so in the episode of Pretty Little Liars, it is when we find out that Allison was still alive. We think Ezra is A, and it's just like this, which, I mean, obviously now we know so much has happened, but at the time I remember how just that episode was just like, oh my gosh, how is this all happening? And just like so betrayed by Ezra. And
yeah. Especially then when she turns around and you're like, she's been alive this whole time?
Yes.
I knew it!
Yeah, it was like, you knew that she was, but you didn't have proof, and now we know. And then in the episode of Charmed, it was all Halloween's Eve, and it was they go back to the past and are trying to save what they find out to be their whole actual line, their whole heritage. If they wouldn't have succeeded, like, they would cease to exist, and I thought that was a really cool one. I love that episode where they...
Salem.
Yeah, and I love how, like, in that episode they used, like, basic things. Like, it wasn't all their, like, supernatural powers. It was, like, they used apples and broomsticks and TVs and flies and...
stereotypical really stuff.
Yeah, I really enjoy that one.
Yeah, so I really liked the episode of Pretty Little Liars because at that time I was happy because I suspected Ezra all along. So there I was thinking I was right about Ezra. Turns out I wasn't, apparently. But I thought it was a good episode. There were a lot of really creepy things. It also introduced Ravenswood. And I think that part on the bus was really creepy where they see that man and it's Caleb and Miranda talking. And yeah, obviously Allison being alive is the big moment of the episode. So I think it was one of the better Halloween episodes of Pretty Little Liars. Also, obviously, I love Charmed, and I always laugh with All Hallows Eve because we know that Holly never liked that pink dress. And yeah, I think it was a really good episode and like a really good moral story about, like going back and like saving their future, and I really liked that. And, the funny thing with Hocus Pocus for me is that I was only 1 when it came out, but I don't remember not watching it. Like, I watched it all throughout my childhood. It's one of my favorite movies, not only of Halloween, but ever. And I love it, and I always used to cry when Binks died when I was little. And yeah, I don't know, I absolutely love that movie.
Yeah, it's such a good Halloween movie, and it really always brings us all back to our childhoods, and like when you sit there and like eat your Halloween candy while you watch it, and everybody wanted that like tower where the beacon light comes out, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody wanted that tower. Oh, I love that movie. Such a good movie.
Yeah.
So we will link everything down below. I tried to see if the movie was on Netflix, but apparently they took it off. I know it used to be, but it's not anymore. So maybe you can find it on YouTube. If not, Amazon always has it on sale, or any type of, store, Target, Best Buy, any type of store like that would sell it. Charmed and Pretty Little Liars, of course, are on Netflix, so you can find both those episodes on Netflix, and we encourage you to watch them and have a happy Halloween.
This week, our song of the week is by the stunning Adele, who was born in May of 1988, which is the same year as me. She is from England and is said to have a net worth of $76.5 million, which is really incredible because she's only been in the game since 2006. Her songs are known for their passion and known to pull your emotions. Her new phenomenal single, Hello, which is what our song of the weekend is, just blowing up the charts. Everyone is absolutely in love with it. I am absolutely in love with it. Charlotte listened to it before any of us did, and she's like, oh my gosh, I have to play this. And when I heard it, I was like, yes, yes, yes. Like, it is so good. Yes. Like, yes. No, and it's funny because I saw a meme on Twitter, and it was like, Adele has the kind of music that makes you miss that person you made eye contact with on public transportation 7 years ago. And I just think it's so true. But I just, like, you just feel everything, and I love this song. What do you guys think?
Well, of course I love it. I discovered Adele in like 2009, shortly after 19 came out, and not many people knew her then, which was something that like I cherished, and I kept telling anybody that would listen, they're gonna blow up, everybody's gonna hear them, like she's gonna blow up, and eventually she did, and I was like, I told y'all. But I mean, it's very, like, all of her songs, like Brittany said, they just grab your emotions and they make you think of, anything that has to do basically with your past and your past relationships. Even if you've never had a relationship, like she said, it makes you think of the person you, like, saw on the bus 7 years ago that you just, like, made eye contact with and you never
fantasized about or whatever.
Yeah.
Seriously, like, it really does. She really knows how to, like, make somebody think and make somebody feel, and that's always what people are drawn to in music. Plus, her voice is just, there's no one in the game right now that even comes close to her vocal range or her voice. It's always interesting how her writing kind of, grows and transforms with every album as well, so.
Yeah. I really loved it. I always find myself getting her song stuck in my head. The first one I heard, I believe, was Chasing Pavements. And I'm like, why can't I get this song out of my head? And just like every single song of hers, I just absolutely love. And the first time I listened to this, I'm like, ugh, this is going to be another one that I love. And I also love the video. I think it also kind of fits with our Halloween theme. It's just the way it's shot. It's kind of like eerie, especially in the beginning. But throughout the entire video, I just cannot stop looking at her makeup. I'm like, I don't know who her makeup artist was, but I'm just like, that is perfection.
So good and like so like elegantly just perfect. Good.
Yeah.
Perfect video.
So good. I don't know. I really like, because the video really tells a story. So I really enjoy it. And of course we're going to link the video down below and you guys can tell us what you think about it. But I don't know. I love it.
Me too. And so please go and download the song on iTunes and watch the video. It's so good. And be watching because her new album called 25 is coming out November 20th. So it's sure to be filled with amazing songs. And I'm sure we're going to feature another one on here because obviously we love Adele. So just let us know what you think. And we hope that you enjoy this one.
Okay, guys, that's our show. We hope you've enjoyed this installment of Through the Screen. If you did, be sure to like down below and also subscribe to our channel. We also appreciate any feedback you may have. We post new videos every week, and we'd love for you to join us, and as well, tell your friends. Next week, we will be discussing a brand new topic, so be sure to join us. Until then, thanks for watching, stay informed, and we'll see you next time.